My beloved child, be still for a moment and listen carefully. What was seen 2 nights ago has already been misunderstood. People are speaking. Questions are spreading. And someone has taken one quiet moment and turned it into a story that was never true. Your soulmate was seen sitting inside a nearly empty hospital cafe with someone no one recognized. They were seated close to the window. The stranger leaned forward several times while speaking. Your soulmate looked shaken. At one point, the stranger reached across the table and held their hand. That was the moment someone took a picture. By the end of the evening, people had already decided what it meant. They have found someone new. They were hiding this relationship. This is why they stopped reaching out. But my child, people often judge the final image without knowing the painful conversation that came before it. The person sitting across from your soulmate was not a new lover. They were not there to begin a relationship. They were there because of something that had happened years earlier. Something your soulmate had never been told. The meeting began just after sunset. Your soulmate had received a phone call that afternoon from an unknown number. At first, they ignored it. The number called again. Then a third time. Finally, they answered. A woman's voice spoke quietly. Please don't hang up. My name is Claire. You don't know me, but I know why someone disappeared from your life. Your soulmate said nothing. For years, they had avoided conversations about the past. Not because they had forgotten. Because every time they remembered, the same question returned. Why did everything end without an honest explanation? They had replayed the final days again and again. The unfinished messages. The unanswered call. The sudden distance. The moment someone they loved began acting like every promise between them had meant nothing. Your soulmate had eventually accepted the simplest answer. They were not chosen. That belief had hurt, but at least it had given the pain a name. Now a stranger was telling them the story had been different. Claire asked to meet at the hospital cafe. When your soulmate demanded an explanation, she answered with one sentence. I was there the night everything changed. Those words were enough. By 6:30, your soulmate was walking through the hospital entrance. The lobby smelled of coffee and antiseptic. Nurses moved quickly between elevators. Families sat quietly beneath bright white lights. Near the back of the cafe, Claire was waiting alone. She appeared to be in her early 40s. Her face looked tired, as though she had been carrying the same conversation for a long time. Your soulmate stopped several feet from the table. Are you Claire? She stood. Yes. How do you know me? Claire took a slow breath. I knew the person you were supposed to meet that night. Your soulmate's expression hardened. That was years ago. I know. Then why are you calling me now? Because I have spent years trying to decide whether the truth would help you or only hurt you. Your soulmate remained standing. Tell me why I'm here. Claire looked toward the empty chair. Please sit down. I would rather stand. Claire nodded. Then I'll begin. She folded her hands together. The night you were waiting at the old courthouse steps, they were on their way to meet you. Your soulmate's eyes changed. They remembered that night clearly. They had waited beneath the stone awning while rain moved across the street. The meeting had been important. It was supposed to settle everything. No more confusion. No more half-spoken promises. No more letting other people influence what belonged between two hearts. Your soulmate had stayed there for almost 2 hours. The person never arrived. No call came. No explanation followed. The next morning, a message appeared. It was short. Cold. Final. Please don't contact me again. For years, your soulmate had believed those words were the truth. Claire continued. They never wrote that message. Your soulmate stared at her. What did you say? They did not send it. Then who did? Claire's voice became quieter. Someone who had access to their phone. The anger came quickly. That makes no sense. I know how it sounds. No, you don't. You called me here after all these years to tell me that a message I built my entire understanding around was fake? Claire looked down. Yes. Your soulmate laughed once, but there was no humor in it. Who are you? I was their emergency room nurse. The answer changed the air between them. Your soulmate finally sat down. Claire continued carefully. On the way to meet you, there was an accident. The cafe seemed to become suddenly quieter. A cup touched a saucer at the counter. An elevator bell sounded in the distance. Your soulmate looked at Claire without blinking. What accident? A car ran a red light near 5th Street. Claire's eyes filled with regret. They were brought here unconscious. Your soulmate's voice weakened. No. They woke briefly later that night. No. They kept asking for their phone. Your soulmate shook their head. That isn't possible. Someone saw them days later. Yes, Claire replied. They survived. Relief and anger collided in your soulmate's face. Then why didn't they come to me? Claire looked directly at them. Because someone arrived before they fully understood what had happened. Who? A family member. Which family member? Claire hesitated. Your soulmate leaned forward. Tell me. It was their older brother. The name struck an old memory. Your soulmate had met him only a few times. He had always been polite. Protective. Distant. He had never openly opposed the relationship, but his silence around it had always felt like judgment. Claire continued. He told the doctors he needed to handle their calls and messages. That still doesn't explain anything. No. But what he did next does. Your soulmate's hands tightened. Claire placed both palms flat on the table. He read the messages between you. He knew you were waiting. And instead of telling you about the accident, he blocked your number. The words landed slowly. Your soulmate looked toward the window. Outside, the night had deepened. Cars moved past the hospital entrance. People continued living ordinary lives while an entire past was being rewritten inside one quiet room. Why would he do that? Claire's expression carried shame. Because he believed you were the reason they were about to leave their family. Your soulmate looked back at her. What? They had planned to make a decision that night. What decision? To leave the family business. The answer was unexpected. Your soulmate had believed the courthouse meeting was only about their relationship. Claire explained. They had been pressured for years to take over the company. They didn't want that life. They wanted to tell you they had finally chosen differently. To move away. To begin again. With you. Your soulmate's eyes filled. No one ever told me that. That was the point. Claire's voice began to tremble. Their brother believed you had influenced the decision. He thought if you disappeared, everything would return to normal. So he sent the message? Yes. And they allowed it? They didn't know. Your soulmate stood suddenly. They recovered. They had years to find me. Claire looked up at them. They tried. The words stopped everything again. What do you mean? When they were well enough, they asked for you. Their brother told them you had come to the hospital. That you had seen their condition. And that you said you didn't want that kind of responsibility. Your soulmate stepped backward. That is a lie. I know. I was never here. I know. Then why didn't you say anything? This was the question Claire had feared. She lowered her eyes. Because I was 24. I was afraid of losing my job. The brother was powerful. He made it clear the family wanted privacy. I watched him control who entered the room. I watched him answer questions that were not his to answer. And I told myself it wasn't my place. Your soulmate's voice broke. You watched two people lose years of their lives because you were afraid? Claire did not defend herself. Yes. Silence filled the cafe. The picture taken from outside would later show Claire reaching across the table and holding your soulmate's hand. People would mistake it for affection. They would never know it was an apology. Claire's voice shook. I am sorry. Your soulmate pulled their hand away. Sorry does not return time. No. It doesn't. Then why now? Claire looked toward the hospital corridor. Because the person who lied to both of you is in this building. Your soulmate froze. Claire stood slowly. He was admitted yesterday. He asked to speak with me. For the first time, he admitted what he did. Your soulmate's breathing became uneven. Why would he admit it now? Because he is afraid he may not leave this hospital. For several seconds, your soulmate said nothing. Then they asked the question Claire had expected. Does the person I loved know the truth? Claire's face changed. Not with certainty. With concern. No. Why not? Because I haven't been able to reach them. Your soulmate stared at her. Claire reached for her coat. There is something else you need to understand. What? The brother did not confess because guilt suddenly made him honest. Then why? Claire looked toward the elevator. Because he believes the lie is about to be exposed by someone else. Who? Before Claire could answer, the cafe doors opened. A man entered quickly. He looked directly at their table. The moment your soulmate saw his face, every memory returned. He was older now. But there was no mistaking him. The brother. The man who had stood quietly at the edge of their relationship. The man who had decided two lives belonged to him. He walked toward them with anger in his eyes. Claire stepped between them. You should not be out of your room. He ignored her. His attention remained fixed on your soulmate. You were never supposed to hear any of this. Your soulmate stood. Why? The man looked at Claire, then back at them. Because you still don't understand what would have happened if the two of you had left together. Your soulmate moved closer. Then tell me. The man's expression hardened. You think I destroyed your relationship because I hated you. He paused. But the truth is, I was trying to stop something much bigger than a love story. And my beloved child, in that moment, your soulmate realized the lie had never been created only to keep two hearts apart. Someone had been protecting a secret. A secret connected to the family. A secret powerful enough to make one man steal years from two innocent people. But what he said next would reveal that your soulmate had never known the full truth about the person they loved, or the real reason they had planned to disappear that night. My beloved child, listen carefully. The room fell silent. No one spoke. Your soulmate looked into the brothers' eyes, searching for the hatred they had imagined carrying for so many years. Instead, they saw something unexpected. Regret. The brother slowly lowered himself into a nearby chair. His hands trembled. For the first time in years, he looked like a man exhausted by the weight of his own choices. You deserve the truth, he said quietly. I should have told you a long time ago. Your soulmate remained standing. Then start talking. The brother nodded. The night of the accident, everything changed. You believe I kept the two of you apart because I wanted control. That wasn't where it began. He looked toward the hospital window before continuing. Our father had built the family business through dishonest people. There were debts. Threats. Men who believed our family belonged to them. When my younger sibling decided to leave the company, those people became dangerous. Your soulmate frowned. What does that have to do with me? Everything. The brother took a slow breath. They discovered your name. They knew about the plans to leave together. They believed both of you would expose what had been happening. Claire looked shocked. You never told anyone this. I couldn't. The brother closed his eyes. I was terrified. I believed that if the two of you disappeared together, they would come after both of you. So I made the worst decision of my life. I convinced myself that losing each other was safer than losing your lives. Your soulmate's voice hardened. You didn't protect us. You stole our choice. A tear rolled down the brother's face. I know. I've repeated those words to myself every day. I thought time would prove me right. It never did. The silence that followed felt heavier than anger. Your soulmate realized something painful. The brother had acted out of fear. But fear had still destroyed innocent lives. Claire finally spoke. What changed now? The brother reached into his jacket and removed a worn envelope. I received this yesterday. He handed it to your soulmate. It came from them. Your soulmate froze. The person I loved? The brother nodded. They finally learned part of the truth. They've spent months searching for answers. They asked me one question. He looked directly into your soulmate's eyes. They asked whether I had lied. And for the first time in my life, I answered yes. Your soulmate slowly opened the envelope. Inside was only one handwritten page. The familiar handwriting immediately returned years of forgotten memories. The letter read, "If this letter reaches you, it means the truth has finally escaped the silence that trapped us both. For years I believed you abandoned me. Then I believed I abandoned you. Now I understand we were both living inside someone else's fear." Your soulmate wiped away tears. The words continued. "Please don't come searching for me because you feel guilty. Don't come because of lost years. If life ever allows our paths to cross again, let it happen because we have finally become people who know how to live without fear. That would be enough for me." Your soulmate lowered the page. Years of unanswered questions suddenly had answers. Not perfect answers, but honest ones. The brother quietly stood. "I know you may never forgive me. I'm not asking you to. I'm only asking you to stop believing you were never loved." He slowly turned toward the hospital corridor. Then stopped. "There is one last thing." Your soulmate looked up. "They're alive. They're healthy. And for the first time in years, they finally know that you never walked away. No address. No phone number. No invitation. Only the truth." Claire smiled gently through tears. Sometimes healing begins the moment the lies end. Your soulmate walked outside the hospital alone. The evening air felt different. Not because the past had changed, but because its meaning had. For years they believed silence meant rejection. Now they understood that silence had been built by fear, not by the absence of love. As they reached the front steps, they noticed the photograph that had started the rumors. Someone had already posted it online. Thousands of strangers had invented stories from a single image. None of them knew the truth. None of them knew they were looking at the moment an old life finally began to die. My beloved child, this is why I ask you not to judge your own story by what others think they see. People often witness moments. I witness hearts. People hear conversations. I hear intentions. People remember endings. I remember every page that came before them. If your heart has been carrying questions that no one else could answer, do not allow bitterness to become your permanent home. Sometimes the answers arrive years later. Sometimes they arrive through unexpected people. And sometimes they arrive only after everyone else's version of the story has fallen apart. Remember this. Not every goodbye is chosen. Not every silence is rejection. Not every delay is the end of what is meaningful. Trust me even when you cannot yet see the whole picture. Because I can. I have watched every tear that was hidden. Every prayer whispered in the dark. Every misunderstanding that seemed impossible to repair. And I promise you this. Truth may arrive slowly. But when it finally arrives, it has the power to free a heart that has been imprisoned for years. Walk forward in peace, my beloved child. Do not let fear write another chapter of your life. Let truth do that instead.